You could be sitting in the Hall of Fame and the world would know your name. This is Personality Profile here on Joy 99.7 FM. I'm Lexis Bill. It's a lovely Thursday evening and we bring you great conversations with amazing people. And this evening I've got one such wonderful guest to talk to. Earlier today, the whole station was thrown into a state of, well, should I say emotional quagmire or whatever it is. And I mean, our listeners actually called in and teared up as well when the news broke that their favorite voice on radio, the man who lights up their afternoons and actually puts a spice in their weekends, was hanging his headphones. Why would he do that? Why would he break hearts like that? Sammy Forson. You probably have heard. If you haven't, well, let me tell you. Sammy ends his illustrious career on radio here on Joy 99.7 FM this week. Yes, you probably wouldn't be hearing that voice on Ignition again for a little bit. You probably wouldn't be hearing him, or you might be hearing him for the last time on the Weekend City Show this Saturday. He's been on radio for 21 years. And he says, I've paid my dues. So this evening on Personality Profile, we decided to walk a mile in his shoes and know about his journey, his illustrious career. Yeah. So welcome. Take a seat. Yeah. Your favorite radio show is on. Like I said, my guest is a maverick in the radio industry with 21 years of experience. Known for his music, great selection, captivating voice, deep music insights, of course, and unwavering dedication. He has been a trusted companion for an enriching and entertaining radio experience here on Joy FM. It's not just his deep appreciation of music of all genres. It's not just a great sense of humor. It's not just the smooth presentation skill. But he has the distinctive touch of a true radio maestro. Tonight we're celebrating the illustrious career of Sammy Forson, a revered radio personality, bidding farewell to a remarkable journey with a legacy etched in the airwaves. Sammy has been a voice that defined an era. As he gracefully concludes this chapter, will join me in honoring the unforgettable moments, the timeless anecdotes, and the indelible impact left on the hearts of many listeners, including me. Tonight we say thank you, Sammy, for over 2 decades of unparalleled broadcasting excellence. You're leaving behind a legacy that will resonate in the hearts of your audience forever. It's been a great journey, and Sammy is here. Sammy Forson.
We're here.
What a day.
What a day's been, man.
You know, I tried to put questions together for this interview, and I said, nah, I'm not going to do that. I don't have questions. I want to talk to you as a brother. I want to sit with you and converse with you tonight. A lot of the listeners called in, sent in tons of messages, and expressed their how sad they were that you were leaving.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
It's a mixed bag of emotions. It's not a day that I can say you can ever prepare properly for, because to think of the fact that you've been able to have access to people in places that ordinarily you wouldn't have access to if you were to go in person, people's homes, bedrooms, and all that, and they, over the years, accept you as part of their lives and their family, and all of a sudden you don't get to have that connection anymore. It's something that will take a while to deal with. I mean, this is all I've known for 21 years, and I finally have to say goodbye. It's not easy.
I think one of the questions a lot of people are asking is why, Sammy? I mean, come on, we're enjoying your company, and you made our afternoons, our Saturday mornings. We woke up and heard you, and you're like, yo, that's Sam B. So what's up?
It's it has become necessary to take this step, because of a few things that I'll keep personal for now.
Right.
But basically, there are a number of things that I would want to also go and pursue.
Yeah.
And I believe that it has come to that point where you have to do it. There are some things that don't give you peace of mind until you do them.
Yeah.
Or give you some fulfillment, like what radio has done for me. So that's pretty much what went into the decision.
You're at that point. I don't want us to look forward. Let's look back a little bit.
All right.
When you look back, what do you see after 21 years?
I see a lot of love. In my 21 years of doing radio, this afternoon was the first time that somebody broke down on the phone because of the fact that they won't hear me on the radio anymore. And I've never felt that level of appreciation before, and it really got to me. So when I look back, I am glad that God gave me the gift that I've been able to put to use for 21 years and touch people's lives in the way that I've been able to do.
If you look back, what would you say has been your proudest moment?
I think all of it basically has been a good ride. I can't single out particular moments because it's been full of ups and downs, but through it all, it's always been a learning experience, opportunity to grow, to be a better version of yourself, to learn something new, to correct a couple of mistakes as well, and all that. So yeah, it's been quite a ride.
I've known you for a long time, and I know how you appreciate radio.
Yeah.
Or how you understand radio. For you, it's not just coming to the studio to play music and
No.
read LPMs, and
No.
it's not just that.
No.
What is it for you?
It is creating an atmosphere for the listener. When you do something over and over again, it becomes, embedded in your DNA. Between me and you, and I know a lot of people who do radio would agree that there are times when you enter the studio and you're just not in the mood.
Yeah.
But there's just something that happens when you turn on the microphone to speak. It just comes to you. So for me, it's been all about creating that experience. I do radio the way I would want to listen to radio. I would want to listen to good music. I would want to listen to a good selection, an arrangement of songs in such a way that you take the listener from point A to point B. And one of the things that make me very happy is when people call me and go like, I've been listening to you in my car. I've gotten to where I'm going to, but I can't get out of the car. So you're creating an experience for the listener. At that point in time, they forget about whatever was worrying them, whatever was troubling them, and they just are in a very happy place. That's what really makes me happy about my craft.
You mentioned how it is sometimes that you're so down and not in the mood. But you have to put yourself together.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you even do that? Do you get it? Because I'm sure there are so many things that go wrong in a day for you.
Yeah.
And then you get into the studio and you're supposed to create a happy moment for somebody you don't know.
It's just, that's when you'd realize that it's a gift. It's something that you are just able to do just like that because it's embedded into your system.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that we have to sit in a room literally with no windows to see outside and just create a mood for somebody listening somewhere.
Yeah.
When you do it over and over again, you just tend to master it. There are times when I've been on air. For instance, I remember that was 2008 or so. I was on air then on City FM, and my mom called me and told me that my grandmother had passed.
Mm.
And I remember that 2 days before that, she called I spoke to my grandmother then, and she was like, I'm called Kofi Ahimfo Forson.
Yes.
So she named me Ahimfo,
Yeah.
my grandmother. Yeah, so she's like, hey, Ahimfo, oh, mba na mewu. Let me say, oh, meba, mepacho, ejumanti mintu memba, meba. And then she passed away on a Good Friday. And I was on air when I was called and told. I don't know how I still was able to compose myself and still do the show. Before, when we were done, I drove to Swedro. I just don't know how I did it, but I was still able to pull it through. There are days when you're on air, you hear some really bad news. Your dad's been taken ill to the hospital. You're wondering and all that, and you're not there to make sure that he's getting the proper care. But some way, somehow, you can't say because of that you're going to spoil someone's mood.
Yeah.
You have to go through, be a professional, and then so it's more like you put your feelings aside and satisfy the audience before. After radio, you can become yourself. So I always tell people that it's like when you're entering the studio, you remove your clothing,
your persona, your whole self.
Yeah, and then you come on air, and when you're done, you
pick
get
them up.
Yeah. So Sammy Forson on air is different from Sammy Forson off air, and I can say the same for Lexis as well.
Yeah.
Because that's just what the job demands, and that's what we need to do.
It's like a selfless job.
A lot of dedication.
That kind of personality alteration that you just explained.
Yeah.
Has it affected you positively or negatively?
I think it has done a lot of positive stuff in my life. It teaches you how to handle situations in life, because you can hear very sad news and you still have to compose yourself and handle the situation until you're done. So I think for that aspect of things, it helps you, handle things properly, because if you were to react in the moment, you wouldn't think through your reactions.
Okay.
But whilst you're managing the situation, you'll be able to react properly because you would have had some thought into it and you'd have processed it to a point before you react. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, even before I tell our dear listeners to send in messages, I've seen so many messages on our WhatsApp platform coming in, some of them with emojis of tears. The first message here that I got says, it's my first time, I think, sending a message on personality profile. And it's all because of Sammy Forson, the man of several lovely sides. He lights up our lunchtimes, amuse, and even add a touch of education while cracking your ribs. And the most beautiful I found in that soul is his spiritual life. On Tuesdays, I feel this man is a very spiritual person, and some of us are addicted to his unique way of touching us. Man, something was just driving me to tune in this afternoon, because it's been a while now since I listened to Ignition, and gosh, it was such a nostalgic feeling when I heard that unusual thing going on during Ignition, and I felt for that moment that, hey, I am at my joy radio. Sammy, I'll miss you for words I cannot explain, but hey, I started following you just this late afternoon on Instagram. May God be with you wherever you're going, and I wonder if anybody coming to fill your shoes can do it the way you do it. I haven't had an appetite for food since this afternoon. That's from Zet in Akoteman. And these are some of the messages we keep receiving all afternoon.
Yeah.
If there's one thing radio has done for you, what's it?
It has given me the opportunity to be a blessing to someone, every single day when I'm coming to work, I always have this plan to outdo myself, based on my previous day. And for the fact that people are listening to you and are dealing with, with all sorts of problems and challenges, and for the fact that you have the power to speak to them at that point in time and turn around a situation that they're dealing with because of one thing you say, or one thing or one song you've played, I think it's a very powerful place to be, and it's not something that I take lightly, and I'd forever be grateful, being in that position and being able to do such a thing.
Was this something you always wanted to do as a young person?
I wanted to be a pilot. I'm still trying to do that.
It's still the airwaves.
I'm still
You're in the air.
Yes, but it's my voice, not me.
Not you.
in the cockpit. Yeah, but my love for radio, I would say my love for music, started back in somewhere 1994. I just had this habit of buying cassettes and CDs, and I went to Swedish secondary school. At that point in time, I think we had just come back from Zambia. I'm sure I'm Zambian born, but Ghanaian by parents. So
your parents are Ghanaians, but you were born in Zambia.
Yes, yeah.
What were they doing there?
My dad was an English tutor, and
in Zambia.
Yeah, now retired. And my mom was a nurse / midwife as well.
Okay.
So they spent 16 years in Zambia, and that's where I was born. I'm the last born. We actually two boys, or now 2 men and 2 women.
No, just say 2 boys and 2 girls. We understand that. Don't worry.
Yeah. So back in Swedish secondary school, that's when Joy FM was probably about 3 or 4 years by then. Yeah. So I had this little Walkman. So when I'm going for Nocte to go and learn, at night, I'd always tune in. I'd then catch, the amazing voices back in the day. I actually fell in love with listening to the Joy Slow Jam.
Yeah.
One of my or one of my biggest influences when it comes to radio is Jojo Lemaire.
Jojo Lemaire.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I
what a jam.
I totally adored him when he was on radio. He's a very wonderful human being, and he's been such a great influence over my life. So I had this habit of just listening to Joy and all that, and I listened to the likes of Doreen, Sammy Forson, Komla Dumo, and all that. And for some reason, I would always have a little notepad, and I would write down what they say on air, like, "Oh, welcome to the Cosmopolitan Mix." I would write it down.
You used to write it down?
Yes, I write it down, all that. So when I'm back home on vacations, I'll be playing my Discman, listen to music, and then I would lower the volume and say, "You're locked onto the Cosmopolitan Mix." I would act like I'm on radio.
Oh, I see.
So that's how it all started, And then after school, I moved to Kumasi to live with my brother, Reverend Emmanuel Forson of Fountain Gate Chapel. We were living in Patasi. So
why did you have to go and live with him?
Okay, so here's what happened in school. There was the speech and prize giving day in 1999, and the guest of honor was then the First Lady, Nana Kunedu Achiman Rollins. So we were doing the agric / chemistry option. So she was going to come to the science lab, and I was given the task of displaying the periodic table to her on a computer.
Okay.
I hadn't used a computer before, but some way, somehow, when it got there, I used the computer as though I knew how to use a computer already. So it's then that my interest in computers started.
Okay.
So after school, my dad was like, "Go to Kumasi, and then there's a computer school there, and live with your brother, and start learning computers." That's when it started.
That's what took you to Kumasi.
Yes. So literally, this is me telling you how the story all began.
Yeah.
So I started this computer school, and then before I could even finish, I saw a shop with the name Ghana Computers. It was just at Asokwa, close to, there's this restaurant, Big Daddy's.
Big Daddies.
Yes,
Yeah.
Asokwa, yeah. So the computer school was at Atunsu.
Mm-hmm.
So when I pick a trotro and I'm coming back, then I'll drop at Asokwa, then I'll pick a car from there to Santasi roundabout, and then drop at KJC, enter Patasi Estates, just down there. That's where I used to live.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would stop by the Ghana Computers place, and I'll meet only one guy there called Fred Arthur. So apparently he needed somebody to help him, because every week he had like 150 used computers being brought to him from Accra to refurbish and sell. So I was like, oh, I'm learning this thing, A plus, A certification, hardware and networking. It's like, oh, come, then you can come and do practicals and all that. So literally that's how he employed me. So I would be there with him. I had the chance to work on so many computers, and then I picked up my skills there. So basically I had my book. I would go through it, and then he would explain what it is and then take me through. So on one of such days, I found a CD-ROM. I opened it, and there was a CD labeled PCDJ.
Oh.
Yeah, so I took it home, and then Fred had given me one 486 computer to use at home. So I installed the software into the computer, and then I just took a pen and paper and started pressing the keyboard to see how it reacts.
Yeah.
Then I would write, oh, okay, so F1 does play, F2 does stop, and then this is pitch up, pitch down, and all that. Then I downloaded Music Match, and then I ripped some songs onto it. Then I,
Instead of playing with it.
yeah, and then I basically learned how to DJ with it.
Wow.
Yeah. So I got to know that my mentor, Jojo Lemaire, also lived in Patasi Estate. Because I used to listen to him every day. It was literally the same time as during Cosmo.
Yeah.
So it was Metropolitan Mix. And then I gathered
On Love
courage.
FM.
Yes, Love FM Kumasi. I gathered courage to go to his house.
You went to his house.
Yes.
Boy, you're brave.
Yes. I used to call into the program, and I call, they say, oh, the phone lines are busy and all that. So I went there, and then I didn't seen him before. There was no Instagram. There was no Facebook. And then this guy walks out with this afro, slim guy. I'm like, are you Jojo Lemaire? Then he spoke, and could
You
tell.
heard the voice, yeah.
I was shaking.
You were?
Yes, I was like, oh, I'm this person. I admire you so much, and blah blah blah. And then he welcomed me into his home, and then we became, very good friends. And then, for some reason, I also could build jingles, with Cool Edit and all that. So I would listen to his show, record his jingles, and then I go back home and I edit, and then I'll download some of these, effects and all that, and I'll redo them. And he liked them.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, I want to do radio one day. It's like, oh, he actually was honest with me and told me, you're good with IT, so stick to IT. So he got a car, but he couldn't drive. So I became literally his driver for some time. And then I had to drive him to Accra. That time they had Radio Express sending CDs every week. That's how new music was coming then. So he would come with blank CDs. And then where we have the technicians department, that was then the library.
Yeah.
So that was the first time I entered Joy FM. And then he would come and rip CDs and all that.
Holy smokes. Hold on.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
Yes.
This story is full circle.
Yes.
Literally.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was the first time I entered Joy.
Hold up. I didn't know this. Your introduction to radio was through the multimedia group.
Exactly. Yeah.
With Jojo Lemaire on Love FM.
Yes.
And he drove you into this Joy FM building.
Yes.
Even before you were a radio presenter.
Yes.
Are you serious?
At that point in time, if anybody told me I would ever work here, I'd tell the person to get out. Like literally.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
This is the biggest full circle moment I've heard this year. No, I mean it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. It was.
And it took you a long time to even get to work in Joy FM.
Yes. So if you would remember, I think you were writing exams then. The first time I started working here,
Yes.
I had to sit in for you.
Yes.
And in my intro, I said that it took me 14 years to get here. That's
Wow.
what I meant.
Wow.
Because
Wow.
at that point in time, the first time I stepped here was 14 years ago as, a driver for Jojo Lemaire. Yeah.
What a story.
Yeah.
Wow. God works in mysterious ways, huh?
Yes, he does. He does. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, fast forward. So I got this GBC gig because, with PCDJ, I started building computers and introducing them to radio stations, because at that time they were still doing the cassette and CD
Yeah.
era. So I got 2 gigs. I computerized Asta FM in Techiman and then Chris FM in Brekum. So my dad had a taxi, an Opel Cadet, that he brought to Kumasi for us to change the engine. So I would drive in the evenings, and then do some Edum to Kwadaso gigs, get some small fuel money and all that. And then during the day I'd go to school, and then I'd work a bit with Ghana computers as well. So on weekends after building the computer, I would drive there, go and do a presentation and all that. So I got those gigs, and I'll train them and all that. And then gradually they would do the transition. So on such a day, I met the late actor Kwame Uswansa.
Yes.
He was then programs manager at Garden City Radio, GBC Kumasi.
Right.
So he introduced me to then Alaji Chodi. He used to do this Islamic program on GTV.
Okay.
He was the regional director. So he was all into tech and all that. So he gave me the opportunity to do that for Garden City Radio. So I got to build a system for them, and I trained their people and all that. And then he let me build an IT studio so that they can do their jingles the digital way as well. So then he said, no, we don't have anybody to maintain this technology, so I'm offering you a job as an IT manager.
Wow.
So I took it. So that was then my job. So on one such night, I had, increased the hard drive size, and I'd reloaded the music and all that. And Honorable Ras Mubarak,
yes,
he was a reggae presenter on the station.
Okay.
So he couldn't come in for a show that evening. So I had to be in the studio to play some reggae and then just make sure the system I have upgraded was working properly. And a voice in me just said, open the mic and talk.
It was a voice in you that said that?
Yeah. It was like, around 9 p.m. By the time the director had left, everybody had left. So I just pushed the fader gradually up, and I said, you're tuned into Garden City Radio 92.1. We're playing you some very good reggae music. Please enjoy.
And that was it?
Yeah, and I put off the mic. 2 minutes, the door opened, and here was Alaji Chodi, the regional director of GBC. He's like, who spoke? I was like, me. He was like, wow, you sound really great. I'll give you a show tomorrow.
Wow.
That's how it started.
Sammy, what?
That's how it started.
So wait, hey. I mean, this is divine.
Yeah.
I don't know what voice told you to speak, because back then you dare not turn on the microphone if you're not told to, and especially at GBC.
Exactly.
Where they actually want to check your diction,
your
whatever. Everything has to go through a check before it goes on air.
Yes.
And a voice told you, "Oh, thou Sammy, rebel."
Yes.
And speak.
Put on the mic and speak.
Wow.
Yes. So
I think it's divine.
Yes, and guess what my first show was? It
What?
was a gospel show.
Hallelujah, somebody.
I started radio as a gospel presenter.
Yeah.
So for those that love my Tuesdays, they cannot make the connection.
That's awesome.
Tuesdays, Inspirational Tuesday on Ignition is my favorite place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it just gives me a certain peace of mind, because I just love that particular part of it.
From Garden City Radio.
Yes, so there was this day that Sammy Forson, the legend, came to uh, Garden City Radio. He wanted to do a radio training program for presenters in Kumasi. He had then established Rabodev.
Rabodev.
So the director, Alaji Chodi, took him around showcasing the new tech and all that, and Tommy was very impressed. So he told me about Rabodev, and then he invited me over to Accra.
Okay.
So
which year was this?
This was 2002 to 2003 thereabouts.
Okay.
Yeah. So
where was this training Tommy did?
It was in GBC Kumasi.
The training happened in GBC
Yes.
Kumasi.
Yes.
I'm asking because in 2004, I was part of Tommy and Forson's Rabodev training with the German Development Foundation.
Yes, a lady had
KNUS.
yellow golf saloon car. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, there was this lady that was doing with him, a German development lady.
Yes, a German development.
Annette Turman. Yes,
I remember her name.
Yes,
she signed my certificate as
yes,
well. Annette
yes.
Turman and Tommy and Forson.
Yes.
It was in 2004. It was the same year I started radio.
Yes, so that was the opening door for Accra for me.
Okay.
So Tommy made me come to Rabodev. I also installed the PCDJ and all that for the students. So at the last week of the course for every batch, I would come, I'll teach them PCDJing, and then I'd help them do their demos and all that. So that was basically what I was doing. I did that for 2 to 3 years or so. And then there was this evening where Tommy asked me to meet him at La Bonnie Coffee Shop. And then he introduced me to a gentleman known as Samuel Atamensa.
Summons.
Yes, they had now started City 97.3 FM.
Yes.
And he needed a presenter. So by then in Kumasi, I had transitioned from, doing, Christian program to doing the late night slow jam.
Yeah.
I was doing the reggae show as well. I was also doing a jazz show.
Wow.
So I also once played at Adademu on a Saturday afternoon. Yeah, so some man said he needed somebody, and the next day he asked me to come to Adabraka. I went there. I met Irene Logan. She was then the receptionist for City FM.
Okay.
Irene Logan, the musician now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I met a guy known as Yao Pariasama. He was then the programs manager. And then he listened to one or two of my Kumasi programs. And he told me to start the next day.
Wow.
I was like, I need to go back and resign and blah, blah, blah and all that. So he gave me about a week. So I came back, and then one Friday evening, 7 p.m., I entered this new console, everything. I was wearing something similar to this. My sister bought me some nice shada from UK and sent it to me.
Yeah.
I wore it. 2 ACs were on, 16 degrees. Bro, I was sweating. I was like, this is Accra. So I played my first song, and I was nervous. I played my second song, and I was like, you're tuned in to 97.3 City FM. Welcome to Rhythms in the City. This is a voice you get familiar with over time. I'm Sammy Forson, and tonight I'll play you some very nice music from across Africa. Welcome. Then I played the next song. Then they started coming to the studio. Welcome.
Wow.
You
what
know,
a story.
Yeah, and then it moved on to, I think a week later, John Jermaine was then doing the drive time on City, and then I think he had to travel or something. So Simon quickly said, "You're going to the drive time." I was like, "Okay." And then at the point I was also doing brunch in the city as well. The likes of Nyama Dagadu, Jessica Paris-Sapporo, Bernard Avle. We also had Zelda Dako for sports and all that. They gradually, helped me find my feet there. And also Jimmy Quist also helped me a lot because he was the librarian.
Yeah.
I had to learn a lot of old school because of the target market for the drive time.
Yeah.
So basically, I'll spend 2 hours prepping for my shows. If I don't know a song, I'll record it a bit and send it to somebody who knows old school. It will tell me this is the name of the artist, this is what it done. So that's how I built my library as well.
Yeah.
So I was there till 2009, and then another door opened. um, George Brune.
Yes.
He was then in London. He used to listen to me a lot on City. He had been appointed the GM for YFM.
YFM.
So he had come in and he wanted a youthful but a bit matured morning show.
Okay.
So he felt I was the right person to do that. And then
So he poached you.
Sort of.
You were poached.
Sort of.
It's either yes or no.
Sort of. I was on a short suspension.
What do you mean by that?
So there was some incident of some sort, and I got suspended
At City
at
FM.
City, yeah. So I was called back. I think it was an anniversary or something, and then I was told to come back because Nikamate the owner, was around and all that, and I went back. And I think during that time, the conversation had already started,
Yeah.
as if it was planned,
Yeah.
you know. So it was also a chance for me, even though I was, doing a show for a very matured audience. I would say my father's age group and all that.
Yeah.
I was still a young guy, you
Yeah.
know. So YFM was also buzzing then, youth radio, very urban and all that. It was a chance for me to, find myself again.
Yeah.
So after, speaking to a few very close friends like Ibrahim Wahinijan of OM Studios, they gave me the encouragement to take the step. So I did, and I did the morning show for I think a month or so, and then I think Miss Na had to come back. So George then gave me a regular slot from 9:30 till midday, Monday to Friday, with no voice on it. Says I should create something.
Yeah.
And that's when I created the mid-morning show with Sammy Forson.
Yeah.
On
I remember
YFM.
that. That was
yeah.
big.
And it went on to win me 2 awards, and I think in 2012 or 2013, the mid-morning host of the year, RTP, and then later on as well, I won the record promoter of the year at the Ghana DJ Awards as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a long story, basically.
It's a very long story. From YFM, I think you moved to Live FM.
Live FM as well. Yes.
And then you found your way to Joy FM.
And funny enough, the way Joy happened, I was at that time planning to leave Ghana.
To leave Ghana?
Yes. And then a friend of mine, Terry Mason, came from America and wanted to step out that evening. But he wanted to do a bit of radio because he did Sarkodie's Apollo sellout show in New York. So I came with him here, and he was on Hits FM with Dr. Pounce. And after that, we were told there's a 90s jam. So together with then my girlfriend, now my wife, and him, we came to Silver Star Towers.
Okay.
I saw you there.
Yeah.
We had a great time and all that. You guys gave me a couple of shouts on air and all that.
Yeah.
And the next day, Philip Nye calls me. Oh, we got a show for you for Joy. I was like, oh, get out of here. What are you talking about? I thought it was a joke, and it's like, oh, Charlie, if you close, pass by, And then I met Kofi Ansah.
Yeah.
And then I met Chief Ken Ansah as well. We had some conversations, and then I had to make the transition. And the first thing I had to do was fill your shoes.
You were more than able, bro.
Yeah.
You were more than capable.
So that's the story. And in between all of that as well, there was the, Sarkodie bit as well.
Yes, you managed Sarkodie for a little bit as well. Look, anytime you sat in my on my show, I mean, I didn't have to even bother or blink, because I knew that, like, listen, and I told you this earlier in the afternoon when you came to Kumasi. I was then the programs manager at Ecstasy.
Yes.
And I think at the time you were at YFM.
Yes, I was.
Yes. So when Sammy comes to Kumasi, I told Andy Kem that, listen, Sammy Forson, the great Sammy Forson, is in town. I am not working today. Sammy is going to do drive time. And I remember handing over the show to you, and I went into my production studio, my office then, and I turned on the radio, and Sammy starts the show. and the smoothness which he just delivered the intro so captivating. And that's how come I remember the first
Yeah.
5 songs you played on that day,
Yeah.
back to back. I remember at what point you mixed it.
Wow.
I remember how you transitioned every song.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I said, look, this is actually one of the greatest people to ever do it. And then having to get to work with you here at Joy FM, I mean, I know how you actually dedicate yourself to, making your craft smooth. And it's really sad that I don't get to work with you again for a little bit. Uncle Ken just came into the studio, and I'm sure Uncle Ken has a lot to say.
Uncle Ken.
Sammy. Lexis.
Uncle Ken.
I was overtaken with emotions this afternoon on Sammy's show when all of you gathered here, to bid him farewell. And all the nice things that were said about Sammy. And I had wanted to rush here, so I get to add my bit. Till I heard you say you have him on personality profile. So then I said, oh, okay, I'll catch him.
Yeah.
Just before my
Before
show.
you start your
Yes,
show.
so I don't need to hurry. This gentleman, when he joined Joy FM, prior to his joining Joy FM, I had been listening to him because I've always told him I love his choice of music.
Yes.
I mean, he's like a younger version of me when it comes to music choice.
Music selection.
Yes, selection. And you mentioned it this afternoon.
Yes.
The sequence
Yes.
of play. It's very important.
It is.
A lot of people don't. People ask me why I do a playlist and bring to the studio. And I have always done a playlist before I come to the studio because I need to flow
In a certain way.
in a certain way. And Sammy does that
Excellently. Absolutely.
like you said this afternoon, excellently. And I was happy. He came to me and he told me he'd been listening to me from Groove FM days.
Yeah.
And all that, he said so many nice things, and so we clicked,
Yeah.
And he knows I listen to him. I know he listens to me.
Right.
It's when he told me on Saturday. It was on Saturday at the Loyal Listeners
Event. Yeah.
event.
It was on Friday.
Oh,
Yeah. Farmers
holiday.
Day.
that Friday looked like a Saturday.
It looked like-
I know. Yeah.
Yes, it was on Friday. Yes, when he walked up to me, he knelt and said, Uncle Ken, Thursday is going to be my last day at Joy. And I went, oh, why? So he gave me reasons, and I said, oh, that's fine. Okay. All the very best. Sammy, like everybody has said, has been an inspiration to the station. There are certain programs you look forward to
Yeah.
listening to for various reasons. I look forward to listening to Ignition because I want to hear the sort of music that he plays that's different from what I play.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? And,
Absolutely.
and as a music lover, those are the people I like listening to.
Right.
Yeah.
People who play things that I might not know about and
Yeah.
get to learn. And that's what Sammy's been doing. And fabulous.
Thank you.
A friend of mine sent me a message asking, wow, is Sammy leaving Joy? I said, yes. He said, Uncle Ken, he's the only person I thought would take over from you. and I said to him, who told him I'm going somewhere?
Oh, Uncle Ken, that's
you
the one.
that- because Sammy's choice of music is something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Uncle
Something
Ken.
else.
Thank you.
And I wish him well.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Wherever
much, Uncle Ken. Thank
he's
you.
heading to. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Uncle Ken.
I mean, I was going to activate the phone lines. We're out of time, but lots of messages are coming through.
Yeah.
Dede says, I'm very sad and I'm in tears. Sammy leaving Joy FM, I couldn't believe it. Saturday mornings especially. Please, how will we cope without you? Titi Ninswam says, Sammy Forson, why this time? I loved everything about you and your show. Who can fit in your shoes? We're going to miss you. Good evening, Lexis. It's sad Sammy is saying goodbye to Joy FM. I'm going to miss him on Ignition on weekdays, a weekend CD show. And that's from Big Show in Amasaman. Okay. Ayembila also says, I've listened to radio for years, but I tell you what, Sammy Forson is just super fantastic and wonderful. I'm so sad. Sammy, what's the most challenging thing about being you?
I would say it's wow, I didn't see this question coming. Most challenging thing being me, it's just trying to always be the best version of, yourself. Especially for radio, there's always this pressure where I need to do it better than I did it yesterday. And being on top of your music, as always, every radio person knows how important that is. You always need to keep your library updated, and always making sure that you're able to put people in that happy place that they deserve, because they really look up to you. The fact that they turn on the radio and choose to listen to you out of all other options is because they hold a certain level of value for you, and you need to meet up that expectation all the time. And that's really something that I don't take for granted. I always try to excel at.
What's your biggest regret?
My biggest regret. I don't know how I'm gonna cope missing what I do. I don't want to think I would regret, but I can say for a fact that I will definitely be back on radio sometime in the future.
Sammy, wait. Are you having second thoughts about this?
I jokingly told Adam that, can I bring another employment letter?
Because I can see in your eyes that even though you've decided to take this step, a bit of you doesn't want to do this.
Yes, because of the fact that people are impacted by what you have to do for them.
Yeah.
It's something that you would always want to have the opportunity to give people something of value, something of meaning, like you, Lexis, on drive time, when somebody called you that and told you that if not for you on your show, they would have committed suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what that does to you?
Yeah.
It puts you in a certain place where you just pray to God that you would still have value to offer people and give them that sense of belonging, and realize that, what, you can't give up on yourself. You can still be better. And we have that power. And it's something that this experience will live with me for the rest of my life. And someday I hope to be in that position again to bring joy to people.
You have 30 seconds. Talk to the one who loves you and listens to you and is sad that you're leaving.
To all the listeners and all the wonderful people that I've met throughout my 21 years, thank you for being such a blessing to my life. I value and hold in high esteem every single person that has allowed me to have an impact on their lives. Thank you so much. I'll forever be grateful to Ghana, to everyone who has been a part of this journey for me. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
My name is Lexis Bill. It's been a great evening. Uncle Ken will be on your radio very shortly. Thank you, Sammy Forson. God bless you.
Thank you, Kwame.